Okay, so Frank, before he had Nat's good friend and great sunriser Nat's jacket out, so I wanted to take a minute. I failed to do this before I was supposed to do it, but I want to recognize all the great sunrises that we have lost over the years, and I'm going to request for a moment of silence and reflection for three legends that have left us recently, that being Billy Hightower, who we lost last year, and more recently, John Kelly and Pete China. All right, thank you. Okay, so the next induction is Joe Boroden. Joe Boroden marched from 1974 to 1981 and 1983 on snare. Joe marched in the early 70s and 80s, and he's nominated for his dedication to the Sunrisers drum lines. He marched when the Corps was struggling to get members to join. Joe stayed with the Corps during the rough times and through the Corps' many championship seasons. He was a true blue member that made the Sunrisers a powerhouse, competitive Corps. He was well liked among the many members who came to march in the Sunrisers during their tenure. Joe, without a doubt, was part of a hard-working, dedicated group that achieved championship caliber lines each year. He was a very soft-spoken guy, but was liked by all members of the Corps. Joe was always one on Facebook to support the Corps from afar, as well as active on the alumni pages, keeping in touch with all the fellow alumni. His work ethic and overall personal demeanor is something a new member would be impressed by. For these reasons, Joe is elected to Sunrisers Hall of Fame.
I'm not quiet anymore. Somebody took that out. I do want to share. First of all, it's great to be here. This is the reason. Jack told me the real reason I was inducted is because they've been trying to get me to come here for 42 years. And so if they did that, then I would show up. And he was right. But I do want to share a few memories. Some of them are funny. Some are just great memories. And I marched from 74 to 83. I took 82 off that year. But actually starting in 72, I want to thank all the Sunrisers that marched in 72. Raise your hand. There's a few of them, and I'll tell you why. I was 14 years old. I was playing drums for a color guard at some Catholic school color guard competition in Queens, and the Sunrisers did an exhibition. And I had never seen them before. And they go out there and play Procession of the Nobles, Heidi Ho, and the Joker. Right? And I was like in awe. Didn't know that 2 years later, I don't even remember how we got invited, but myself, Jimmy Lagudi, and Dave Eisenhart joined the Sunrisers. And we came, this is the good part, we came on a Friday, they rehearsed. The next night was the evening with the Corps, and they said, we want you three guys to play timpani tomorrow night. And he said, just move your arms, flail them around, pretend that you're playing the drum. They needed members. They wanted to show there were people out there. So we're in the back of the stage, doing this, not hitting the drum. All of a sudden, Dave Eisenhart starts banging on the drum. What are you doing? That was a fun night. The best part was the ride out there, because we needed a ride. Us three 16-year-olds, Larry Visconti and Tom McCarthy pick us up. And how many remember Larry's GTO? That was a nice car. That was a nice car. So he picks us up and he goes, we're late. Okay, whatever. And we're on whatever the Westchester, I don't know what park we were on. And we were in the back seat and we were all looking at each other, afraid to look at the speedometer. I think I snuck a peek and I think it said 130. We got there on time. To say 74 was a rough year. Now, to me, a 16-year-old first time, it was great to be part of the Sunrisers, working with 5 snares. We were together for a lot of years, but it was a rough year, and I'll never forget the never-ending ending. Remember that?
Yes.
Remember? I wanted to get a hot dog when we played that. That was a rough year. But I remember learning the show, and oh boy, I'm not going to tell the whole story. I'm just going to say these 3 words. The bag broke. How many remember that story? Yeah. Ask me later and I'll tell you about that. So that was 74. 75 was much better. Mike DiLorenzo came on board. He got John Sasso. You know John Sasso. He came and helped us out. And I remember at the Grand Prix show, the Hawthorne show, I remember watching the 1975 Muchachos. You remember them? And the snare drum was up there. We were in awe. I was in awe watching these guys. And Dennis DeLucia, I didn't even know at the time, was their instructor, not knowing the next year he would be our instructor. And then all those drum trophies would start. That was great. I remember in 76 then. Now Dennis was our instructor. We had Brian Callahan was working with us. And I remember the first show, we had the Aussie hats you heard about. Aussie hats, the white tops. And the drum line was warming up. We were pretty darn good that first show in Teaneck, just warming up. And these people are walking by. And of course, they were all new uniforms. And I heard them say, "Who's that?" And they were going, "I think it's Santa Clara." They came all the way out to New Jersey. And then I remember Fran Herring has said this so many times. I wish he was here. The wedge in procession, right? We hit that wedge, and people knew that the Sunrisers were something special this year. We won a couple of shows that year. I think we beat every corps, I think, once that year. And then 77 came along. Very strong corps. We won many shows. And of course, our first DCA championship, you remember .05, 8 no jive, right? And one of my favorite pastimes now, this is 45 years later, is when someone posts the 1977 Caballeros show on YouTube. I always write, "They were the best second place corps ever." And everyone asked who was the best corps. No, I didn't answer, of course. And they still complain about not winning that year to this day. And of course, that was the first of 6 percussion titles. 78, the corps was even stronger than 77. And it was our second DCA championship and our second percussion title. 79, the winter drumline was huge. You remember that first time we had 10 in the season. We even had more in the winter, I think. And I remember one weekend the corps learned the off the line Crown Imperial, the horns and the drums in one weekend, and we played it. And we were all blown away by how good we sounded. We knew it was going to be a special year. But it seemed like another one of those years where we learned new drill every single week up until finals, right? It's one of those years we said you needed 2 more weeks. But we came in third, and we had our 3rd percussion title in 3 years, so we had a 3-peat. 1980, pigeons. We missed our 4th percussion title by 1/10 to the Skyliners. So even though and I call it a sun sandwich. That we had 3 Sunriser percussion titles, 1 Skyliner, and 3 more Sunrisers. Skyliners didn't like that too much when I said that. In 81, we had another huge drum line. We started what I called A and B rehearsals because I lived in Allentown. And A rehearsals were for all the people that lived 3 to 6 hours away would show up on the same weekend. And the B rehearsals would be everybody else would show up. And it was great because when we had those A rehearsals, there was a lot of people. We were really inspired by that. Great show. Oh, North drums. I love those drums. I especially loved I didn't have to carry them. They were heavy. 2nd place that year, 4th percussion title. 82, I got married to my wife then, not this one. So you ain't marching this year. I laughed about it, but I did take a year off. And then I got to march one last year before I got transferred to Florida for my job. In 1983 was my last chance to march before I moved to Florida. We had a 12-1 record, the corps, and percussion was 13-0. We were DCA champs, high horns, high color guard, and high percussion for the 6th time, and no snare ticks in finals. Yeah. So my last show, a lot of you remember this thing. This is why we're all black, so you could see this thing. This was, the Buccaneers gave us this for the percussion line. We had my last show, 1 DCA, high percussion, no snare ticks, and that's how I ended my career. And I just want to thank you all. Great seeing you all. It's like a family reunion for me. Haven't seen a lot of you in a long time. Of course, we've seen each other on Facebook. But I want to thank the committee, everybody here, and thanks for having me. And it's a blessing to be here. Amen.